Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show. A quick one is the title, but we'll see. I mean, we've had these ideas of quick ones before. We've gone talking for about two hours, so who knows? We'll try and keep it a short one this evening because you know what? There wasn't much rugby last weekend, and I don't think there's been that much news going on. But hey, my partner in crime is back. Cornflake, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm back. Good to be back. Right, it's been a couple of weeks. Stupid life, right? Dumb life. People expecting things, money working. It sucks, doesn't it? But hey,
it does.
You know, the things we do to live. I mean, how inconsiderate. If only we got a big sponsor, we could put the top of the screen here and be like, hey, go buy Steinlager beer or something and support the All Blacks. It would be great. And then we could be here all the time and be like, hey, lovely stuff. But, you know, it's all good. Good to be back. Let's talk. Let's keep it short, right? Yeah.
What, Space Mates? Anyway, yeah.
I don't care what it is. Anything will do.
It's pre-game Fullens said, "Hey, Dad." I don't think that's me. I think it's you. So one of your dad, your one of your kids is here, which is good.
Good son. Make sure to donate, and subscribe, and do all that good stuff. You know.
You need to have a few more kids, and then maybe actually we'll grow our viewership. So let's just run through a bit of the news that's happened this last week. Some sad news for Curtly Beale, who got carried off during a Sydney club game playing for Randwick, where apparently it looks like he's ruptured his Achilles. No, what's the word looking for? No contact or anything, just pulled up, and after just being recalled to the Wallaby squad, the 95 cap Wallaby looks like he might not be making that 100, unfortunately.
That's fine. That's okay. The Wallabies probably do need him, but it's more of a. I think it's more of a problem for the squad, right? I think he's a good player who's going to help the squad as a whole, as a squad sort of player. So it's a bit of a shame, but they've also lost Nicky Towell in training as well. So not only, you know, I guess Curtly Beale will probably likely have played at fullback or something like that, but a couple of the key guys, you know, that they've kind of cemented their hopes into, or their sort of futures or their plans have kind of gone down in the squad. So it's going to be interesting to see how much that affects the next guys in, you know, whether they now turn to some younger guys or do they look for a bit more experience in behind, or are they going to look for players that they've kind of put themselves in the mud a little bit, you know, guys that have been like, hey, you didn't want me the first time, you know, how's that going to affect them in the future? So yeah, a bit of a shame. I thought Curtly Beale could have really helped this team, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a loss with the depth of that side for the Wallabies. They need that experience.
Yeah, that experience really showed the force, didn't it, when he came in? So
definitely.
So yeah, so I think it's a shame on that one. But look, was he going to make it to the next Rugby World Cup? Probably not. So maybe. So I don't think it was a long term. I don't think it's a problem. Short term, as you say, getting them up to speed. Luckily for them, they're playing Wales over the next few weeks. So so that shouldn't be too bad, should it? Wales followed by Georgia.
I've answered my own question because they've called up Joey Walton. I'm just reading about now. I read about Iki Tau's injury, and I just see they've called up Joey Walton in his place. So the young Waratahs midfielder, which I'm not that impressed. I don't think he's that, like, he's been all right, but he's not a groundbreaking, you know, like, he just seems to be there, you know, he doesn't carry the game or explode the game. So I'm keen to see how he's going to go at the next level if he gets a chance.
I mean, maybe he was just maybe just be brought in to get sort of experience of the squad in that kind of sense, and I wasn't expecting him to play. But yeah, so Australia have got Wales coming up, and then and also Georgia, because Georgia's having. I'm having a look at some of the fixtures coming up. I'm just going to throw it. Georgia are playing Fiji at home, then travelling to Japan to play the next weekend, and then travelling down from Japan to Australia to play the following weekend. It's like, geez, that's they're going to get their emails in. Platinum status, here we come for Georgia's players. For them. So yes. So look, I think as 2 games against Wales, followed by one against Georgia. As far as openings go, that's a fairly soft one for the Wallabies. Let's be honest. Wales, bottom of the Six Nations without a win, and having recently lost quite convincingly, at least in the second half, to South Africa as well. Means that I think it's a good start. It's a nice, easy start for Australia, rather than necessarily say I don't know, Ireland first up with a full strength team would have been a bit of a baptism by fire for some of these new players.
I don't know. I see this as a sort of, it's almost more pressure because the results expected. They did play Ireland. Everyone would be like, okay, you're going to lose by 20, 30 points. Put in a good performance, lads. Play to the team. Learn the drills and learn the systems and blah blah blah. It's all about how they perform, not about the results. Wales is a bit like, okay, the Wallabies need to beat them, and they need to beat them convincingly. The pressure is, what if the Wallabies don't beat them, or they don't beat them convincingly? What if the full-time score is that halftime score that the Springboks game was a 14-13 or something on those? What if the Wallabies sneak through these 2 tests and win them by, less than 10 points? I think that puts more pressure on the Wallabies if that happens. So, yes, sure, they should win, and it will be good for the morale should they do win. But if they don't, and they don't thump the Welsh, there could be big question marks.
Yeah, I think thumping is so a new squad, new coach. I don't think thumping. I think just get the wins.
Oh, it's got to be double figures, right? It's got to be double figures.
No, it's just got to be a win. Just get a win. After Eddie Jones at the Rugby World Cup, just get a bloody win, right?
That's true. But I think if Wales come away from the series, aggregate points of less than 30, they probably won't be too displeased. I think, Wales have got a lot of players they need to get up to speed. They need to play in Welsh colours. They need to secure positions. They need to show the players that they have the faith that they are the future for the Welsh jersey. Wales are certainly looking at a path of 4 years' time. Whereas you're right, the Wallabies are like here and now. The Wallabies are like, crap, we need to sort this shit out now. We need to get results. We need to find our system. We need to find our players. The Wallabies are in almost they're not looking past this season, right? I think Wales are looking at clearly a lot bigger picture and trying to secure these guys their future, because Wales are in a sticky spot, right? Wales are in a spot where they have to, they can't just pick their best players. So for them, it's about giving these players an opportunity and saying, okay, you're the guy we're going to trust in this spot. Stay here, please. Don't run away. That's what Wales have got to look forward to. So by looking at that, it's like, okay, you're the guy to take us through the World Cup. Please stay and play for Wales. That's what they've got to try and execute. True.
That's very true. So he's staying in Australia. Michael Hooper has unfortunately not made it into the sevens squad for the Olympics. They've not announced the squad, but he's already come out and said, "I'm not going." They didn't pick me. It seems a bit off. He could have let them actually announce it first, but no. Shame that he didn't make it. But youngest player to 100 caps and that kind of stuff. So I mean, look, cracking career. Injuries haven't helped him in his attempt at the sevens. But there we go. So we'll see what comes next for him. But cracking career by Michael Hooper.
I think we know what comes next for him. He's going to be sitting on that Stan Sport bench, isn't he? Talking trash of those other idiots that are on there. Look, he'll go down as that group, with the Pococks, the Hoopers, that combination of a stack of guys who really held together Wallabies teams for decades, you'd almost say. With the Phil Wars, there's so many good back rowers that have just continuously churned out through Wallabies over the last couple of decades. And he's certainly one of those names that made that team what they are. They would have been a disaster without him. Boy, imagine no Hooper in the Wallabies in the last 10 years and what that team would have been like. He really has been, love him or hate him. This side of the ditch, generally we hate him, but you can't argue with the impact he's had to that Wallabies team. He's been a fantastic servant to the nation and to rugby for sure.
Oh, look, I don't think hates him. I mean, he's not a.
It's the guy. The guy's so good. That's what I mean. You always hate your opposition's best player.
You respect him, but someone like Quade Cooper, he was hated for a totally different reason. It's not in that in that kind of sense at all.
In the sense of that he's a great player, and that like Australia and the world hates Richie McCaw because he's just such a fantastic player. It's that sort of same thing. That Michael Hooper was a guy that could not only just at the breakdown, but in open play. He's so quick around the paddock as well. He could score tries, get turnovers. He was such a dangerous guy.
Steve Hansen has been on the Ruck podcast, apparently, saying that the All Blacks, saying that New Zealand Rugby didn't give Ian Foster their full support from day one. Oh my God, the entitlement of the bloody Blazers. So Hansen really, look, fantastically well as an All Blacks coach, World Cups and blah 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 with Ted and stuff. But boy, oh boy, the entitlement of the guy as to kind of the way he treated some players of like, what are you not sticking around to play for the All Blacks when I haven't picked you, and you're going to go overseas and get lots of money? That's disgusting. I thought I might pick you in the next couple of years. Why can't you stay? Yes, your assistant coach who went and got some of the biggest what do you call it? The biggest losses ever in All Blacks history, broke all sorts of negative records, and you're saying that he didn't get full support. Jeez, come on. Yes, he wasn't treated wasn't treated in the best of ways at times, but at the end of the day, he got to keep the job when some of his assistants got sacked, and he got to replace his assistants, and he got to go to the World Cup. So boy, oh boy, yeah, he got support, and just your mate didn't get, just because people, not everyone behaved the way you thought they should, Mr. Hansen. Oh dear, it's just the entitlement. I just can't. It just does my head in.
There's a number of ways these coaches or ex-staff members go, right, when they finish up coaching internationally at the top level, right? Most of them just kind of dwindle away. Some of them go into the punditry side of things, but most of them kind of just fade away. Steve Hansen's loving the social media sort of era, isn't he? It's kind of passed him by. He's a bit old for it, but he's kind of found it out that he can go on and say whatever shit he wants, and people are going to gobble it up and spew it to the greater world. He's done his time, right? So no one can come out to him and say, well, prove that you can do better, sort of jobby, because I've done it. He can kind of say, well, I don't need to prove myself. You're right. He is entitled by saying, I've done that. My opinion, I can say what the hell I like, which he can, of course. But he's really spewing it out, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But he's got a platform and he's got a name, and he's letting it rip.
I know, but you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. But it's the way you expect other people to treat you. I mean, like at the Rugby World Cup in 2019, offering to take one of the journalists outside for a punch up. It's like, what the fuck? Jeez. Hello. You are the All Blacks head coach here, okay? You are one of the mouthpieces of New Zealand. You're offering to have a fight outside. Jeez. Come on.
Old Boys Club. Old Boys Club. That's what it's all about.
Such an old Blazers club. Quite right. On that one. Now, Mr. Harris and I had a chat about the All Black squad last week. But we haven't got your opinion on it, so I'll just bring the squad up and just kind of get your thoughts on the All Blacks squad. Any kind of let's start, I guess, up front then with the front row. I guess with that real bolter in Tossie, and also Bell getting in there ahead of say Riccatelli. What are your thoughts on the front? Are you happy with the front row?
You know what? I just want to quiz you firstly on the debutant in that front row in Tossie. Who and what union was it that turned him from a number 8 into a front rower? Do you know that? Do you want a little quiz for a Monday night?
Well, yes, because that would have been down in Southland, where
of course,
where a certain head coach who you have, a certain coach who you've been involved in a little interview with, did that down there. Who also went on to coach went on to coach Moana Pacifica, and then on to was it Tonga he was working with, or Fiji? Can't remember now. But anyway, yes.
Foresight, right. Man. Great man, great man. The Southland Rugby leading the way forward, transferring him from the back of the pack into the front row. Now he's an All Black. And amazingly, he's done all that and he's only 25. Hey, you can't argue, right? I think that with this squad, a lot of it is opportunities because of injuries for a lot of players, right? A lot of these sort of guys that probably you wouldn't have had there. But yeah, I mean, I can't argue with the front row. No, Riccatelli, I'm not a huge fan of. I prefer to have, a guy like Bell, a youngster in there. Armour certainly earned it. Is he good enough for the next level, though? That's the question we're going to find the answer to. I think he needs to take, he's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the number 2. We know what Cody Taylor offers at hooker. So I think Armour, this has to be the season he either steps up or he steps off. If he doesn't perform, then I look elsewhere. But yeah, I'm happy with it. It's good to see the youth in there. Yeah, Tomaiti Williams, I'm a huge fan of. I think he's just a phenomenal player. A bit more in there. You got Tossi 25, Newell in there at 24. Yeah, I've spoken about it always do on these shows, right, Paul? It's all about bringing the next guys in. I don't like the old guys. Sorry, Perinara, you're not even near my team. But it's good to see not many numbers throughout this pack. You know what I think about Ofatuanga Fasi? He can go row a boat off to France or something as quickly as possible. But, it's good to see not too many ages starting with 3s, especially in that pack, right? So, yeah, I like it. It's good. I like the injection of a bit of depth and a bit of youth coming through, which is, a good start. And before you even start, I know you talk about Satutu trash. Get him out of here.
So it's interesting. Scott McLeod was on a podcast that I listened to, the Outro podcast. And one of the colours he mentioned was basically in the front row, especially, was just big bodies. So, right, if you're not a big prop, you ain't getting picked, right?
Yeah.
They clearly have a game plan that involves size amongst their front row. So they've seen the size of the French pack, they've seen the size of the South African pack, and they've gone, we are having a large pack. End of story. So small forwards, you might want to be thinking about trying to play in midfield. And then we've got the locks in there. Yeah, again.
Trouble
Josh
area.
Law. Pardon?
Trouble area, I reckon. Second row.
Yes, I think you've only got 3 there. One gets injured, you're in trouble. So I do think that there should be I would have had 4 locks. I heard it last week. But apparently Josh Lord is with the squad rehabilitating. So clearly he'll be coming back into the squad at some point. Having a quick look as to who is over in Japan with the Maori All Blacks. You've got Lachlan McFonnell, who was obviously with the Blues this year, but previously with the Chiefs. Isaac Walker Lurie, I think is one that people were expecting to maybe have got picked. And then off the bench, they had Max Hicks in there for that one. So those are the guys that are staying fit and having game time at the moment. But Josh Lord is there on that one. Dylan's just pointed that we've got Willie Hines on that sheet. Yes, I think that's left over from last year, to be honest. Then you've got the back row. Obviously, you've stated there you're kind of happy with that. And again, that's what they're looking for. So if you look at your Blackadders, Finals, Jacobsons, Papulehi, all kind of large workhorses, with then your Arnie Sevilla and Satiti as your kind of more dynamic ball carriers at 8. Peter Lakai is apparently with the squad as an apprentice role to get used to the squad, which is interesting. And Sam Kane is with the squad as well. So we'll see what that means. Because whilst they've got a squad of 32, they've actually got 40 players are there. But otherwise, I think you've already had a quick chat about the back row. Scrum halves, you've already shot off and said no TJ Perinara. Cam Roygaard in an interview said he was aiming for end of year tour, so hopefully he's back for that. But actually, hopefully he gets fit properly rather than rushing back. Is my main one actually on him. Into the first 5/8, you're not going to be happy with that because you're not a fan of Mackenzie or Barrett. You want Brett Cameron, but he's nowhere near the squad from what I've heard anyway. It was interesting that on that same podcast that Harry Plummer was getting a call out, which was which again I can see there you are. For those of you people on the podcast, Cornflake shaking his head, rather than those of you watching on the screen. So you've got concerns around 10 then.
I don't know about concerns. We know we get from those guys, and we knew all along that it was going to be picked, right? You knew it was going to be McKenzie and Barrett in those 10, 15 sort of position. I just don't like it. I just don't think McKenzie's a guy that I want under pressure in my number 10 jumper. I'm not a huge fan of Beauden Barrett at 10. I just find he's turned into a bit of a shuffler. Great when he takes the line on, great when he runs at the line, great when he takes the ball forward, but when he's distributing, he just shuffles. And I've complained about McKenzie enough times on here to sink a ship. But yeah, I think if I want a genuine 10, a guy that's going to kick me well and distribute well for my back line, I mean, the list of candidates is not huge. Let's be honest. The fact that even Harry Plummer's in the conversation is a bit concerning. But, I mean, he did do a good job of the Blues. Would I pick him? No. But I can see why he is in that sort of area of conversation. But, yeah, out of all the guys there, Brett Cameron was the guy that impressed me the most. It's just a genuine guy that can just run the show. He can kick well. He can pass well. Sure, he's not perfect. But I still think he's a guy you can develop and use for the future. Definitely in an area that I don't think the young players in Super Rugby this season that we spoke about, all those weeks ago, I don't think they've pushed on. Now, a lot of them were injured. A lot of them spent a lot of time out. I just don't think we got what we wanted out of the young guys pushing their cases for those number 10 jerseys, which is a bit of a shame. And it's left us with, what we've got here, which is, hopefully next season we get a bit more out of those guys in their second year at Super Rugby.
Yeah, I've thrown Riz Rahana in there. I've added him to the spreadsheet because he is playing. I say he's running at 10 for the Maori All Blacks. And I've also put Poe Hippie in there in the centres as well because of that as well. So those two guys are getting some game time now. In the centres, I think it's pretty much as you expect with Geordie and Rico, Anselm Brown, unsurprisingly. Billy Proctor, perhaps a little bit surprisingly. I wasn't sure that it'd be Billy Proctor or Quinta Paya in there. But Quinta Paya wasn't getting enough game time at the Chiefs, really. But thankfully, David Havili is only in there as cover. I think you'll probably be happy with that. As again, Billy Proctor, another young player coming through, and a guy who is showing signs as to why he got a 5-year contract in his very first contract with the Hurricanes, which did my head in. That he got such a long contract. That was very impressive. Like, wow, where's he come from to get such a big contract? Because you don't get many 5-year contracts in New Zealand rugby. So he's definitely been on the radar, or people have been keeping an eye on him for a while, and he's come through now.
I've got no complaints about the midfielders. Like you said, it's going to be Geordie and Rico. That's going to be your starting pair. We know Anton just has that versatility. He's just got that experience. He just is the do it well, low era, like we said earlier. So he's just going to come on. He's going to, if he needs to fill a role, he's going to be able to do that. If he needs to cover, he's just a guy that he's like that duct tape you can just squish over a hole, and as long as he doesn't get injured, we'll be safe. But I'm happy to see Billy Proctor. He's a guy I think has a lot of upside. I think he definitely improve a lot and become a player that the All Blacks do look to in the future. I think it's a good call. It's certainly not one he's not consistently blowing the lights out, but I think he's been solid enough and consistent enough over a number of years now, isn't he? A couple of years at least he's been up there playing at a good level for the Hurricanes. So yeah, no complaints from me on that one. Happy to see it. Feel a little bit sad for Tupai, coming back from that massive injury. But I don't think it's the last we've seen of him. So it's good. A couple of years ago we were really lacking depth, a bit like the Locks, right, in that midfield, and now we're looking at going, hey, we've got a guy who's unlucky to miss out. Really, okay, more depth, right? More competition for places. He's adequate, but it's good that we've actually got a conversation, and it's nice to, give Proctor a couple of runs in this and just see how he can step up to the role. And now you've got Tupai, you got Proctor, you got Anton, you got the incumbents at the top there, and you start to build a bit of depth, which is nice because these guys are all, mid to late 20s as well. You got a good few years of this core little group of midfield that can hopefully work together nicely. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy to see Billy Proctor get a chance. Then
coming then to the back three, which you're going to have mixed feelings on. Several Reece definitely made a case for it, and clearly was always going to be there. Mark Talia has been one of the inked in names on the team sheet as well for the past year or so. Then it comes to the other ones really. With Will Jordan out injured, Stephen Perifetta has looks like the most likely sort of fullback, even though Nawaya has also played at the back there a bit, as well as on wing. And then your favourite player of all time, Caleb Clark on the other wing. Ruben Love just coming in as injury cover. I think both of us had him down as definitely being there. So, a bit of a surprise. Caleb Clark, look, I mean, he has improved and had a better season than the last couple of years. His best season since the Tokyo Olympics. Surprised Ruben Love didn't get in there.
That's my biggest shocker by far. I think he had a fantastic season, Ruben Love, this year. I thought he was, Sivu Reece, best outside back in the competition, without a shadow of a doubt. He was phenomenal. I thought Narawa was really, really good this year. He seems to have slowed his game down a little bit, that he actually looks in control of what's happening. He doesn't look like he's frightened. He doesn't look like he's just trying to just get out of trouble and make something happen. He looks like he's a bit more in control of his game, which I thought made a massive difference throughout this year. So I'm good with Narawa. I think he deserves his chance. He was robbed of that last year of getting his opportunity with that injury. So I'm good with him. Mark Talia, can't argue with that. Again, another phenomenal player. Really, really hard player to stop anywhere on the paddock. It's just Perifetta and Clark I'm not 100% sold of. Up to that level, up to that international standard, I would have liked to have dropped one of those two and brought Ruben Love in, who I think is a guy that's going to be around internationally for a long time. I could start him and be quite comfortable.
Yeah, I think the Perifetta selection, I said this last week, I don't get your thoughts on this. I mean, with Sean Stevenson not even there, I think that the Perifetta one says that they want a second playmaker at 15. And that they don't want a kind of a fullback style player in a Sean Stevenson, which is a bit strange, because then the question is, where does Will Jordan fit in when he comes back? Because if you want a playmaker at 15, that's not Will Jordan. Will Jordan is your classic attacking fullback, kind of play winger as well. So maybe they think of him coming back as winger. So it's the Perifetta one ahead of Ruben Love and Sean Stevenson not even getting a look in, to me suggests that that's what they're looking for from their 15, and a sort of square peg round hole for some players.
Would you consider Ruben Love a bit more of a playmaking 15 than definitely I would over Will Jordan? I think he's very much, spent time at 10. I'm saying
that's why Sean Stevenson's not getting a look in at all, and why Ruben Love is kind of
and he's not had that massive season he had. What was it last year? Where he was just in Super Rugby he was phenomenal, right? He scored tries. He was a blockbuster player. He's not had that same season of Super Rugby. So that pressure of picking him was massive last year, right? The media pressure, the public pressure, it was huge. Making him into that into that All Black position. But now he's kind of folded away. It's kind of like, okay, we can put Sean Stevenson back in the closet now, and just push him back to Super Rugby, go back and play for the Māori All Blacks and just do your thing, and until he has another big year. But I just don't know, how many years have we persevered with this dual playmaker role, and I like it in thought and in planning, but sometimes you've just got to pick your best players in the best positions, right? And that's where sometimes it just goes off the rails when you're picking a guy to play in a role when he's not the best guy that's suited for that position. That question marks start to come up. And to me, we've got two fly halves in that squad, right? We've got Barrett and we've got McKenzie, and it seems like we're going to be playing both of them in the starting team. So it just, surely Barrett's going to be a starting 15. And McKenzie will be a 10. If I'm Scott Robinson, that's going to be my starting 10. My starting 10 of 15. And the wingers, Sivu Reece has to be a starting winger for him. And Mark Talia will be on the other side. That'll be my back three with Barrett at fullback. And your midfield, Rico and Geordie. McKenzie at 10. And, geez, I'd hate to say it, but I think Perenara will probably be the one he nods off to start at 9 as well to complete that back line.
Wow. So
I agree with that.
That's not your choice. That's what you're expecting him to do. Whereas I think, yeah, look, I think out of Barrett and McKenzie, it should be 10 and 22. Right, to me, have one on the bench, and then they can come off and cover. And if you can actually pick a pair of veterans in or an Arroyo, one of those guys should be playing 15. Actually, have a proper back three player, but I understand where you're coming from with that one. So there you go, folks. I thought we'd catch up. Oh, the final thing that we didn't talk about last week was Scott Barrett getting picked as the All Blacks captain, with Artie Surveyor and Geordie Barrett getting picked as the assistant captains, or whatever they call it now, or on that side of things. Now, look, nothing against Scott Barrett. I think, look, he's an inked-in player on the team. So from that point of view, happy with him being captain. My only concern is around how cliquey this leadership team becomes. You've got well, yeah, because look, you're Razor, who is
that's sort of cliquey. We got wrestling terms.
Sorry.
Oh, carry on.
Anyway, you got Razor, obviously from Crusaders, Ryan, Crusaders, Scott as Crusaders in the coaching team. You've then got your captain, also Crusaders. And to me, if Razor's not careful, now admittedly, look, he's got the ex Blues and the ex Highlanders coaches in there as well, head coaches. So it's not an entirely Crusaders coaching team or leadership team. But so my only reservation around Scott Barrett is that if it becomes a kind of Crusaders and non-Crusaders split in the camp, and they just need to be a bit careful around that one, especially as then who's one of the co-captains? Well, it's his brother. I mean, if you're asking somebody to stand up to the captain, it's his, and it's kind of you'll be asking his brother to do so. It's kind of like, come on. It really, so you've got as long as they keep it, as long as they don't let that kind of division in there, and it ends up being just Artie Surveyor having to stand up for the non-Crusaders side, and then he gets painted as being the baddie. I just make sure that doesn't happen is all I hope.
Yeah, I just had a quick count. There's six Crusaders in the All Blacks forwards and one in the back. Do you think that's a fair representation of a team that sucked throughout Super Rugby this year? You know,
what have they got? Yes.
No, for the forwards, right? Six props, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 forwards of my quick maths. Oh, it says up the top there. 18 forwards, and 6 of them, that's 1/3, are Crusaders. Does that not concern you? Because their forward pack was pretty crap.
Yes, but also of those ones, Newell, Williams both weren't there the whole time, injured.
True.
Cody Taylor again missed the whole chunk through injury. Barrett missed a bunch through injury. I mean, most of them didn't play that much. As long as they can stay uninjured, it's okay.
And Blackadder missed most of the season.
So Blackadder, so most of them didn't actually play for the Crusaders this year that much. So from that point of view, now I'm not worried about the Crusaders kind of thing, but it does strike you, doesn't it, as being, the guy who selected the forwards is the forwards coach who's ex-Crusaders, right? The guy who selected the halfbacks and is a defensive coach, and then Scott McLeod. I can't remember the breakup of the inside and outside backs as to which assistant coach did which. But yes, that is such a Ryan. That's a Ryan pack through and through. On that one.
To flip it though, only 2 Blues players. And look, as much as I've been critical of Blues players individually, as a squad, that Blues pack was dominant, right? It was the best pack in Super Rugby. Like, yeah, you can't argue with that. It dominated games. Don't worry about their back line. Like, okay, it did stuff. But the reason they won the competition was their forward pack. And especially as much as I don't like Akira Ioane or Hoskins Sututu, those guys were incredible at that level. And then you look through and go, so we've got 6 from the team that finished way down near the bottom. And we've got 2 from the team that won the competition. 3? I've got 2. Oh, I missed Alpha there. Bolton. Sorry, 3. And we got 3. Still, we got half the representation. Hey, I get what you're saying, but when you look at it like that, it goes, are we picking on form, or are we picking the best players we think? Like, how much has Super Rugby affected this squad selection? I don't think it has selected. I don't think it's affected more than, I think, 70% of the squad. I think only 30% of the squad was affected by Super Rugby. But before I wrap up, Scott Barrett, we talked about it earlier in the season when he came back for the Crusaders, how his leadership style is very different to what we see from Salvia, right? How he's a drag players with them guy rather than come, I'll do it, you just come with me sort of guy like Ardie Salvia is. And no discredit to how Ardie leads. He's a fantastic leader. But I just think we saw a distinct difference in their style when Scott Barrett come back for the Crusaders, and how he actually dragged that team who was, heads down, tails between their legs, looking pretty poorly, and lifted the squad. Okay, it wasn't all him, but, just the difference he made with his leadership and some players coming back made a difference. And, if I can see that, and if he can bring that sort of style to the All Blacks, which is a very different camp, right? Because you've got experienced players generally, and you've got players who have been here and done it, and it's a much harder and different sort of level. But if he can bring that sort of leadership, I'd be very pleased. But if he can stay on the field, would also be very good. But hey, all of these guys, I've seen all the criticism, right? The red cards, but let's be honest, Scott gets sent off, Ardie gets sent off, Geordie's been sent off. None of our three captains are that good at staying on the paddock. Let's be honest, none of the squad overall are really that good at staying on the paddock. So that's a void point to me, because you've got three guys. Are you going to get all three of them sent off? No, you're not.
No, I agree. I agree totally. That's the people say, "Oh dear, Scott Barrett doesn't stay on the pitch enough." Bollocks. Sorry, that's crap. And when he came back, and people like Toronto said, he's predicting that to be Cardiff try to overlift his team. No, when he came back to the Crusaders, that's not how he lifted that team. And it was as much of the pre-game talking. It wasn't a leadership of, I'm going to carry this team, I'm going to try and do actually too much. No. Now from that point of view, I have no problem with it being actually great choice as captain from all that, from all those points. My only reservation is around making sure that they don't end up with a divide in the squad. Looking through the Blues forwards, then, as you kind of think, you're looking at the props, Retner, Sheck, Ta'avo, for Satia. There's no one there that sort of jumped out to me that should have been there. Again, hookers, Eklund, Riccatelli, Vikina. Again, I don't think Riccatelli's had his best season ever. I still don't see him as being international class. So that's the remember the card against South Africa last year? Yes, he does get cards. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think anyone else. I think he gets some cards disproportionately to others. Locks then, Beery, Darry, McFonnell, Tuipulotu. McFonnell was too in. I think he's got potential, like McFonnell to be there, but again was too injured this year and has real injury problems over the last 4 or 5 years of his career, unfortunately for him. Down there. So Patrick's the only lock you can really pick, and Darry is there as injury cover. You lose forwards then. Choate, Akira Iwani, sorry, but good player, but doesn't have it up top. Sorry.
Good Super Rugby player.
Pardon?
Good Super Rugby player.
Yeah. And actually, he's had some very good games for the All Blacks as well. But I don't think he's a long-term All Black, and he's heading overseas as well. Papali'i's there. Rob Rush didn't play much. Anton Segner not ready yet. Hoskins Tutu, they decided not to. Safoa, James Thompson again. Yeah, there's just as a unit they played really well. Nocturno says Vern Cotter decided to ignore the New Zealand rugby instructions on how his team played, which might also be part of it. That actually Razor doesn't want to play the way the Blues play, and has gone and said, you know what, I don't care how good you are, we're not playing that way, so they're not the right players. End of story.
I mean, I don't disagree. Like, if I was picking the squad, I would probably, I wouldn't pick Offa. I would drop Offa. He'll be gone. I'm not a huge fan of Tuipulotu, but given how shallow that pool is, I probably would have still gone with him, because I think he is kind of that best sort of, second option almost. We're at that sort of level, eh? And then Dalton, I think Dalton, if Dalton can focus on doing what Dalton needs to do, he's a very good player. He's very strong. He's good over the breakdown. He carries well. just Dalton needs to worry about Dalton, right? I just think he gets a little bit too preoccupied with, with what everyone else is doing and just the way the game's going. You see, if they can put the blinders on him like a horse, I think he can be a very, very good player if he focuses in on his objectives and his targets and his key sort of role and objectives for the match.
Cool. Well, look, we've already gone twice as long as I was thinking about going. So we'll end it there.
We want to see Wallace Satiti get some game time. He's phenomenal.
So your Wallace Satitis, your Billy Proctors, so New Zealand, the All Blacks have got 2 games against England in New Zealand, and then they have a game against Fiji. Are they going to Fiji to play that game? No. Are they hosting Fiji in New Zealand? No. What are they doing? Heading off to San Diego, not in the USA for that game. What the? Sorry, why? So it's clear some dollar signs there. So that's the game. That's that Fiji game is where you're going to see your Satitis, your Billy Proctors, etc. I think get a run out on that one. But let's start looking forwards and let's look at that what Fiji's got lined up for their mid-year tours.
Oh,
so this is where people travel outside of Europe and go to other places, and so where those other teams like Fiji and stuff get to host games, right? That's kind of how it's supposed to work, I believe. No, Fiji have had a game in against the Barbarians in I think it was in Wales, wasn't it? That one.
Was it Twickenham?
Sorry, sorry, Twickenham. That's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was getting mixed up because the South Africa Wales game was a home game for South Africa at Wembley in London. Okay, but anyway, because rugby makes sense. So they go for that game at Twickenham. They play the Barbarians at Twickenham. Next, they go to Georgia to play Georgia, and then they fly to San Diego to play the All Blacks. Right? Just like Georgia, the Fijian players are clocking up those premier points miles to get access to the lounge at the airport. What a nuts schedule for them. And there are some fun ones. I mean, you kind of forget how big South America is because Belgium, good luck. Chile, Paraguay, Brazil. That's going to be some interesting flights there as well. And Scotland, Canada, USA, Chile, and Uruguay. So again, quite a few teams putting in the air miles. So all this idea of you finally get your players together and have some training, and actually most of that's done on the airplane or in airport lounges because you don't actually have any time on the grass because you've spent all your time traveling. But there you go.
It'd be good to see, right? It'd be good to see all that training on the plane. That's what I want to see. I want to see that set piece moves in the middle of in the aisles of airplanes. Get that training in.
Yeah, so what they want is to get the Airbus with the double decker, take out with the floor, and then you can actually do your lifts for your lineouts.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So Knox writes, I think Anzac Day tests his legs in the future. No. Sorry, no. Purely because it's in the middle of Super Rugby, right?
It's bad time.
Super Rugby is. Have Super Rugby games on Anzac Day. That's got legs. How about actually, rather than just playing the games on Friday and Saturday, how about playing them on the Monday or the Sunday? You've not been on for a while, and these internationals have creeped up on us. So I'm just going to very quickly run through the fixtures we've had so far. Japan lost to England 17-52. South Africa beat Wales 41-13. The Barbarians beat Fiji 45-32. Japan 15. So it's not actually an international. It's not their full team against the Maori All Blacks. Lost 10-36, and Namibia lost to the Blue Bulls 8-92.
Is that the same Blue Bulls that lost to the mighty Glasgow Warriors?
I don't know if that's whether it's that team or whether it's their whether it's their Currie Cup team.
Okay.
It might be the next level down. So yes, the team that the players that couldn't lose to Glasgow, weren't good enough to lose to Glasgow, beat Namibia by 92 points.
That's not good. That's not good. Namibia should be better than that.
Yes. So that's just to bring you up to speed with what's been going on. Actually, I'm assuming that's the Currie Cup team and not their full team. It might be their full. It might be the URC team. Either way, Namibia should be better than that. Yes,
it's way better.
We're talking about a team that goes to the Rugby World Cup every 4 years, every time. This coming weekend, then we've got Samoa versus Italy. Simon mentioned earlier it's on free to air on somebody in New Zealand. That game. TVNZ, I think he said, but I could be wrong. We've also got that Georgia versus Fiji game I mentioned earlier. The USA will host Romania. The All Blacks will host England. The Japan 15 will have another go against the Maori All Blacks. And so the Maori All Blacks get their 2 games this year. I mean, what an absolute waste of a wonderful brand, a wonderful team people want to see. Australia versus Wales, South Africa versus Ireland. That's going to be a cracker. Argentina, France. That'd be France's France's team without any Toulouse players probably because of the top 14 final. Chile versus Hong Kong, and Canada versus Scotland this coming weekend.
Canada and Scotland. Whoa.
Simon Hughes says,
Warriors.
The TVNZ one at 4:00 for that Samoa versus
Italy.
Italy game. Yep.
That'll be good. That could be good. It could be good or it could be really crap. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in the middle. It's going to be like, wow, that was worth watching, or it's going to be like, switch it off after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, they both have really good players. It could be a really good. Where is it actually played?
In Samoa.
So if it's not a swimming pool, and it's a nice hot day, firm ground, it could be really good. They both got good attacking, and they both play their best players. That's the big thing, right? I want to see the best Italians. I want to see the best Samoans, which I don't think will happen. But if we did, we can dream in an ideal world.
No, but look, this is in the international window. Okay, this is not like that Barbarians game that Fiji played, which was outside it. At least there's there's a chance that they'll get all their players.
There's a chance.
There's a chance.
We can hope and dream.
Of Fiji having all their players available against the Barbarians. That was
Barbarians.
Never happening.
Who cares?
So look, those games come up. I mean, the ones you say Samoa, Italy could be a good one. Georgia, Fiji will be kind of an interesting one to see the result of. Though I don't think there's any chance of actually finding it anywhere on the way to view it. I don't expect. There'll probably be some highlights because they're the two. They're kind of the top 2 teams along with Japan who are kind of shouting out, "Hey, we should be tier 1." Or Georgia saying, "Look, we should be in. We should be so we should be in the Six Nations." Fiji saying, "Look, we should be in the Rugby Championship." So a kind of interesting one from there. New Zealand, England, obviously we'll be watching that one, and we'll be talking about that next week. Australia, Wales, and we've already talked about how 2 teams that have to really, really could do with a win there. Sort of desperate one for those 2. And South Africa, Ireland, again, 2 of the top teams in the world. Ireland want to stay. Look, we are the best. Actually, just because you won the Rugby World Cup, you're not. That should be a cracking game as well. Argentina, France. As I say, I don't think we'll get a full French team out. So be a good warm up for Argentina, or get a proper hit out for them ahead of the Rugby Championship. A serious game, obviously. But again,
Argentina could go good.
Well, they could do if all their players hadn't just flown back from Europe and they had like 2 days together.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, it's having the teams out there. That's what it is. Always with these fixtures, eh? It's having. And I just seen who was it? Someone said it. Simon said it. Italy putting out a youthful team. It looks like rubbish. Throw it in the bin. I've lost 90% of my interest in watching that game now, which is a shame.
Here you are saying, look, All Blacks bring you through, and then when Italy do, you're like, I can't be able to
to the squad. Them. To the squad.
Oh, okay.
Into the squad, right? I don't want to see Ratuma and Tossi and Satiti starting this game against England, right? Okay, 1 or 2 on the bench, maybe. I don't think that'll happen either. But got to bring them into the squad, and then start to bring them through the environment. Give them some time off the bench. Get a performance. Okay, you've earned a start after 3 or 4 bench performances. You go play Fiji and San Diego. Hey, the chat's right, man. San Diego does get good sport. We've watched a few MLR games over the last few weeks, and San Diego does, by MLR standards, pops off pretty well.
So those are the games coming this weekend, folks. We'll have I'm not sure how many of them I get to watch as it's school holidays and I've got my girls, but definitely get the All Blacks one in and definitely get highlights of a couple of others before we have a chat next Monday. Because we'll be back next Monday at 8 p.m. to talk about all of the action. It's good to see that the 20-minute show went on for 50 minutes. As I'm deliberately wrapping it up before Cornflake heads down the next rabbit hole and drags me with him on that one. So great to be back, Steve, and people stay safe. Enjoy the rugby this coming weekend, and we'll be back at 8 p.m. next week to do it all over again.